Welcome back, everyone. This is part two of our video series about the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. We're going to go over the last few paragraphs of this. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to go into our original document. Maybe. Well, I go into this the same way you guys go into this, so might as well walk you through that. So if you wanted to find the document in your folder, you would go ahead and click on the troll, go into childhood, and you would find Declaration of the Rights of the Child. Every time you pull up anything here, you're going to get this error message, and you come up here and you click on the title. It'll take you to exactly where you're going. Okay, so here we go. Let's make this a little bigger. So yesterday, we gave the background information. We went down here into the background of this document, and I believe we made it all the way to paragraph 6. We did not make it to paragraph 7. Paragraph 7 is going to take us a little bit longer, so I wanted to make sure we had time for that today. So, paragraph 7, the child, for the full and harmonious development of his personality, needs love and understanding. He shall, wherever possible, grow up in the care and under the responsibility of his parents, and in any case, in an atmosphere of affection and of moral and material security. A child of tender years shall not, save in exceptional circumstances, be separated from his mother. Society and the public authorities shall have the duty to extend particular care to children without a family and to those without adequate means of support. Payment of state and other assistance towards the maintenance of children of large families is desirable. So, pretty complicated. When we look here into my summary here, what we're basically saying in this paragraph is kids should be able to grow up with love from both parents in a home where there's, hugs and nice words spoken, where kids are taught right from wrong, and the family has enough of the necessary stuff, enough beds, enough food, enough, heat, those kinds of things that are important. A child should not be separated from their mother except in super special circumstances. If kids can't be raised by parents or family, the government should provide a way. Misspelled that, didn't I? The government should provide a way for the kids to be cared for by others. Okay, so if we look back in here, or how about uh, I can't remember where I found it. Here we go. Sorry about that. So if we look back in here, harmonious development just means everything working together so that everything works well. Okay. Um, Under the responsibility of parents. Sometimes kids just can't be raised by parents. And it's sad when that happens, but lots of times there are other people who can provide affection and security to those kids. Sometimes it's grandparents, sometimes it's other people, other family members, and that's always a great thing. If something like that can't happen, then the government can step in and provide means of support. Okay. Paragraph 8. The child is entitled to receive education, which shall be free and compulsory, at least in the elementary stages. He shall be given an education which will promote his general culture and enable him, on a basis of equal opportunity, to develop his abilities, his individual judgment, his sense of moral and social responsibility, and to become a useful member of society. The best interest of the child shall be the guiding principle of those responsible for his education and guidance. That responsibility lies in the first place with his parents. The child shall have full opportunity for play and recreation, which should be directed to the same purposes as education. Society and the public authorities shall endeavor to promote the enjoyment of this right. So, lots in that paragraph 8. So, children have a right to an education that's free, meaning they don't have to pay for education, and it should not be optional. Now, this sounds a little strange, right? But in a lot of places, kids don't have to go to school, and when they don't have to go to school, lots of them choose not to go to school, and therefore they don't receive the education that children should receive. So, especially in this country and in a lot of other countries around the world, education, especially at the younger ages, is not optional. It's something that kids have to do. Education should help a child to reach their potential to be working members of their community. The best interests of the child should always be considered first, as directed by the parents. Children should be able to play, and governments should help provide for these rights. Okay, so if we look back at no, over here. If we look back at the passage, okay, that's what compulsory means, is somebody was forced to do it. And in our country, and in many other countries, children have to go to school. It's not something that they have a choice about. And that's because they need to be able to receive that education. Okay. Sense of moral, social responsibility, become useful members of society. Okay. So people who can work and help our society to be better. That's why we need to have the education, and it should be guided by parents, and the government should help provide for those things as well. Okay, number 9, paragraph number 9 is a little bit interesting. Okay, I like this one. This says, the child shall in all circumstances be among the first to receive protection and relief. So, did I do one for 9 up here? Yeah, I did. So if we go to the paragraph 9 summary, kids need special protection and should receive protection before adults. So if you think of the story of the Titanic, many of you are familiar with the Titanic. Titanic was this ship that couldn't sink, right? Well, lots of people came over on the ship, and the ship hit an iceberg and it did sink. When they put people in lifeboats, they put people in lifeboats first according to the people who need the most protection. So when that happens, what needs to happen is kids go in the boats first. If the kids were to go into the icy water, they would be some of the first to be hurt by that experience. So, what they need instead is they need the kids to be in the boat. So, once the kids and the women, or mothers or pregnant women, once they got into the boat, then the men could get in the boat. So, we need to make sure that kids are getting special protection, that people are looking out for them first. If grown-ups, grown-ups can protect themselves in many situations, but kids don't always have that ability to protect themselves. So, paragraph 10 says, the child shall be protected against all forms of neglect, cruelty, and exploitation. He shall not be the subject of traffic in any form. The child shall not be admitted to employment before an appropriate minimum age. He shall in no case be caused or permitted to engage in any occupation or employment which would prejudice his health or education, or interfere with his physical, mental, and moral development. So lots of big words in there. Let's take a look at paragraph 10 over here. Children should not be left to fend for themselves. Okay, so neglect is when someone is not seeing to the needs of a child. So, if children are not getting the food they need, if they're not getting the housing they need, if they're not getting the supervision they need to make sure that they're safe and they're taken care of, those kinds of things would be considered neglect. So, here it's children not being left to fend for themselves. They shouldn't be mistreated. Okay. Kids should not be bought and sold like property. So, in many places around the world, uh, kids are treated just like their property, and they're sent to work and they're like slaves, and it's not it's not good for kids. And so this document, the Declaration of the Rights of Children, says that kids shouldn't be bought and sold like property. Okay, kids shouldn't be sold into slavery. Kids shouldn't be mistreated in those ways. Children should not be allowed to work before a certain age to protect them. So lots of kids maybe don't like this rule because kids would like to go to work. But the other side of this equation is when kids go to work, lots of times they are used inappropriately. So in the past, kids would be used to clean chimneys because they could get into tight places, and the places were very dangerous, and they would allow children to do very dangerous jobs. In the past, children have been required to work very long hours. And when kids are required to work very long hours, they don't get to be kids. They don't get to grow up and to learn and to focus on their education and focus on figuring out who they are and what they want to be and all of those kinds of things. So the laws of our society now, based on these rights, says that children can't work until a certain age, and that's actually to protect kids, to make the world safe for kids. Otherwise, they could be mistreated in a working environment. When they do go to work, conditions should not be harmful to them physically, educationally, morally, or mentally. So when you get a job, it shouldn't be something that could cause you physical harm. It shouldn't be something that gets in the way of your schooling. So if you're supposed to go to school during the day, you shouldn't have a job that's during the day that's going to conflict with being in school. It shouldn't it shouldn't teach you to do things that are morally wrong. So you should know right from wrong, and the job shouldn't encourage you to do things that are wrong. And then it shouldn't provide a mental strain on you to the point where you feel like you can't handle things. Okay, the job should be something reasonable. Okay, then let's head back here. Okay, and then paragraph 11, this is our last paragraph. The child shall be protected from practices which may foster racial, religious, or any other form of discrimination. He shall be brought up in the spirit of understanding, tolerance, friendship among peoples, peace, and universal brotherhood, and in full consciousness that his energy and talents should be devoted to the service of his fellow men. Okay, so if we look at the last piece here, paragraph 11, children should be raised in a way that encourages acceptance of others instead of hate towards certain groups of people. So it doesn't matter who the group of people are, children should not be taught to hate certain groups of people. Okay, it's not a healthy feeling. There are lots of times when we disagree with the behaviors of certain people, but people as a whole are good and should not be hated or mistreated in any way. The children should be taught to help other people. Okay, that we're here and that helping other people is a good thing. Those are those feelings of brotherhood, and the last little piece about talents devoted to the service of his fellow men. So helping other people is what they're talking about. So these are the rights of a child as um, put out in this document. Now, what protects these rights in our society is our government, and our government makes rules or laws that protect these rights for kids. And we can talk more about those kinds of rules and laws in the future if you guys are interested in that. We can talk about the process of changing those rules and laws because as time passes, there are different things that need to be done to protect children. A long time ago, before there was the internet, there wasn't the need to protect children from things on the internet that are not okay for children. Now there are things that children need to be protected from that they might have access to if somehow it's not regulated. So lots of new laws are being made all the time, and children should have a voice in those things, even though children are not allowed to vote, and children should be knowledgeable about these things. So we may talk about more of these issues in class, but please be prepared to talk about the questions that were in the email that I sent to you yesterday about what rights kids have and why those rights are important. We really want to focus on the why. Why do kids need these rights? Also, We're talking about ways in which your rights have been protected before, ways in which schools protects your rights. So schools are very involved in protecting the rights of children, and so you might want to be aware of that, maybe think about that a little bit, and be prepared to participate in our discussion tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you soon.